Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials. When something hits the fan and we're forced to go off-grid, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to return to living like something out of the Stone Ages. There are alternatives there that can help us maintain the creature comforts that we're used to, and we can do this through the power of 12 volts. How do we do this? Well, let's find out. So it's the weekend again, and as usual, just checking that everything's working as it should do with the camper van and all my different preps. Just done a quick service on the generator, checked the oil and fuel and given it a run. But that's not what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about the subject of 12 volts for power in the camper van. So generator's off now. Quite happy with that, leaving the camper van engine running for a while. Also took the opportunity to pull out the folding solar panel setup that I've got in the van, and I've got that setting off now, charging that portable battery bank that I made in a previous video. So that's just topping up. Something else that I like to do as part of my normal weekly maintenance of my preps. But main theme of the video is actually 12 volts, but not panels or batteries, rather what you can do with it and the experiments I'm doing inside my camper van. So let's have a little look and see. So I've got a dual power system in the camper van. I've got the capacity to run on 240 volts, which is mains power supply, and I can run my microwave off that. I just simply plug into the supply on a site that I might be going to, or my generator if I'm wild camping. I've got propane or LPG gas to cook on, in addition to the microwave. Normal thing you'd expect: the sink, the gas cooker runs off a tank that's buried underneath there. The green tank is wastewater. I don't just dump it on the road like some people do. I store it and dispose of it properly. I've also got a portable toilet, which you'll have seen in a previous video, and that little bottle down there is an experiment that I want to show you today. We'll come to that in a bit. The rest of the van's quite normal. Sofa that pulls out into a bed, but I can also run off 12 volt a diesel heating system, which is run off this here, temperature controlled on a thermostat. That just gives me my status of my batteries. It's a dual battery system, so I've got one bank and then another bank, and here we've got a portable fridge unit, runs on 12 volts or mains, whichever I happen to have available. So mains is just a normal plug. 12 volt actually runs through to the cab of the camper van. But all of this power supply is hidden away underneath the sofa, and I'll show you that in a second. So under the sofa I've got oodles of storage. There's a variety of clothes, shelters, waterproofs, sleeping equipment. There's even a little electric oven down there. But this side is the side that I wanted to show you, because this is the power supply for the van itself. As you can see, I've got two lead acid batteries in there, 110 amp hours each battery. They're connected together there to give me double the amperage, therefore double the length of power. Underneath there, you remember I talked about the diesel heating system off that thermostat there. Well, that is the diesel heater down there. It vents underneath the van and then puts hot air out from a vent underneath the sofa. So in addition to 12 volts, which is what everything on this van can run off, the power from the batteries comes through to a distribution board there, and then it's fused out for lights, water, fans, auxiliary power supplies, etc. All of the lighting in the van is 12 volt, all off this battery bank down here. Now I can convert this 12 volts to a 240 volt supply, and I can do that through these inverters. I actually have two inverters in here which are permanently mounted underneath the sofa. There's a 1500 watt inverter there, and then I've got a smaller, what's called a pure sine wave inverter, which runs 500 watts. I use that one if I want to power any sensitive electronic devices that I don't want power surges and taking the chance that it might knock them out. You can main hardwire these into the batteries if you want. I haven't done that on here. These are both manually connected through these crocodile clips here. I don't use them, and I have actually got a plan when I expand my house solar system that I might take some of these out. I might take that small one out to put into my portable battery bank that I showed you outside there, that one there, because at the minute it just puts out 12 volts supply rather than 240, so it would give me a bit more flexibility to be able to carry that around with me. So my 12 volt supply is extremely versatile. I can power a fridge, I can power my lighting, I can power my heating, and I can plug in 12 volt either USB or cigarette lighter type equipment throughout the van. I also have lighting and the 12 volt power supply in the toilet, and there's a reason for this. The toilet doesn't have, as you can see, a shower in it, but I'm working on a little system now of being able to heat water off a 12 volt supply, and that is what this little contraption down here is, and I'm going to drag that out now and show that to you. So I've just pulled that out, and apologies for the kind of Heath Robinson looking setup that it is now, but bear in mind that this is something that I'm experimenting with just to prove the concept. And essentially what I've done is I've hunted around online, and I've managed to find a specialist who manufactures heating elements that work off 12 volts, and that's what that is inside the water tank. It's a 10 watt 12 volt supply water heater. Very, very simple. All I've done is I've taken a plastic container, I've drilled a hole through the side, and then I've inserted and screwed into place with a couple of rubber washers that 12 volt immersion heater. I've then coupled that at the end with a normal cigarette lighter type attachment to provide the 12 volt power to that heating element, and I actually had that running the other day. I had it in the shed plugged into my solar setup, and it took 3 hours, but in 3 hours it did manage to heat the water to a sufficient temperature for me to take a nice hot shower. So the plan is to expand the water tank system in the van so that I've got my normal drinking water, but I've also got a separate water tank built into the van, into which I'll put that 12 volt immersion heater. My water system in the van currently is a fixed tank inside this cupboard under the sink. We've got a 30 litre fixed water tank. I can unscrew the cap and refill it as and when it falls out, or runs out I should say. There is a drain valve also just down the bottom here. The water's piped out of the tank to a pressure sensitive pump mounted on that shelf there, which means that so long as my power supply is switched on, which it is now, all I need to do is turn the tap, and I've got water. Turn the tap off, it automatically stops. That saves you having to flick switches and mess about every time. It's just like a normal house. You turn the tap, the water comes out. So that's from that 30 litre tank down there under the cupboard. In addition to that, I've got some additional bulk supplies in this cupboard here. I've got two 25 litre and a 10 litre tank in there, which are full at all times, and I can simply use those to top up the main fixed tank as and when. So the idea was, with my water heater for the shower, was that I would, in the toilet, I would fix some kind of fixed tank in the corner here, or maybe underneath, I don't know yet. And then I can have that mounted there, plugged into the power outlet there, and I can run hot water from that tank through this window and outside, so that I can have a shower. So essentially that's it. I just thought that since I was out here and doing my normal maintenance, and I'd not given you a sight of the caravan or the camper van before, I thought I'd give you a quick guided tour. But the emphasis really is on that subject of 12 volts power, because when the mains grid goes down, if you can have a supply of 12 volt, it is possible to do pretty much everything that you want to do, whether that's running 12 volt appliances or whether that's stepping up the power through the inverters to run your 240 normal mains power appliances. Certainly it's something that if you're thinking about going off grid, you really ought to look at. If you are going to be entirely off grid, then you're not going to have access to mains 220, 240 volt power, and 12 volt via solar or batteries seems an ideal solution to maintaining the creature comforts whilst you're off grid. Well, that's it for this video. I hope that you found something in there that was of use to you. If you did like the video, then please do click on the like button, and similarly feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, welcome any of your comments, questions or suggestions. Just leave them in the comment section below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.